Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to join you briefly by means of this video message on the occasion of the launch of the Green Economy Academy and also the broader discussions that are now becoming part of an international discourse around the transition towards a green economy following the Rio+20 summit. I also want to thank my dear colleagues in the International Labour Organization, particularly Director General Guy Ryder, and also the Government of Italy for making this academy possible, because it is one of the building blocks that we all committed ourselves to after Rio+20, where the support of the international community, and particularly the United Nations family, in assisting countries that wish to explore the pathway towards a green economy transition, should receive both adequate and joined-up support by the international community. Thus also the emergence of the Partnership for Action on the Green Economy that to date involves the partners from the International Labour Organization, UNITA, UNIDO, UNDP and UNEP. And I hope very soon others in the United Nations family will join this effort to try and provide member states of the United Nations with a common and shared platform in providing advice on particular aspects of the green economy. Many of you are familiar with the debates that led up to the Rio+20 summit, in which the transition towards a green economy was sometimes discussed as both an opportunity and a challenge. And certainly the Green Economy report that UNEP produced in the run-up to Rio+20 provided a positive outlook on what we had found when we traveled around the world and studied initiatives that would fall in the broader context of a transition towards a green economy as examples that are already being implemented. Indeed, another thing that struck us as very interesting is that as we searched the world for interesting policies, successful examples of implementation, this was no longer a topic that had often the frontier of innovation centered in the traditional industrialized economies. Indeed, some of the most far-reaching and also scaled-up policy innovations happen to be occurring in the so-called countries of the Global South. This reinforced our sense that as environmental change phenomena are increasingly going to influence economic and development policy choices, the concept of trying to understand how environmental change, environmental resources, the natural capital of our economies relates to the economic development choices, the pathways that countries will choose in developing their industry, in developing their agriculture, their urban infrastructure, their transport systems, we would indeed be not only confronted with challenges, but actually significant opportunities. Whether we refer to it as green economy or resource efficiency or sustainable consumption and production, which is another major plank that emerged out of the Rio+20 summit with the 10-year framework program, it is really a set of policies, approaches and opportunities that are now emerging across the globe that, if put together in a more strategic concept and mainstreamed in the development planning of countries, can truly accelerate this opportunity and potential for a transition towards a green economy. Many of you will be at this Green Economy Academy because you are part of that pioneer group of countries, individuals, officials and professionals who are developing the practical implementation and operationalization of these concepts. We in UNEP have been heartened by the enormous response across the globe to this challenge of thinking about environment, economy, and also the social dimension of sustainable development, in particular the inclusive dimension of a green economy, in ways that we would not have anticipated even 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, as I stand here and address you today, there are 63 countries that in one form or another have embarked on a green economy development path, whether it be in certain sectors or whether it be in terms of a national planning approach. We are today a rich community of innovators that are demonstrating that, for instance, when we talk about a challenge such as unemployment, it is in fact also related to a transition towards a green economy. Because not only are we looking at particular sectors, particular technologies, we are looking at the macroeconomic policy framework in which the challenge, the imperative of sustainability is becoming ever more central. You have just had an address by my colleague Guy Ryder, and indeed, as we look at the world today, unemployment is one of the great challenges that are being faced by societies across the globe. Here is an interesting connection to the area of fiscal policy and taxation. Perhaps one of the areas that we will see significant action in the coming years is how we, in fact, tax activity in our economy. It is still a phenomenon that preoccupies me and many of us in the green economy world, why it is that the factor labor in our production and in our economies is being taxed when in fact we are challenged by enormous unemployment and also underemployment in our economies. At the same time, we face the challenge of resource efficiency, resource scarcity, of pollution and inefficiencies in our economies. Is it not time to think about a fiscal policy reform that can relieve the factor production and therefore make labor more attractive in our economies again, and actually shift the tax burden more towards driving efficiency, reducing pollution and resource inefficiency? We have phenomena such as in the agricultural production sector today, where on the one hand we are already faced with a situation that our agricultural production economy is resulting in a net loss of arable land every year as a result of the way that our agricultural production systems function. At the same time, we have the challenge of food security. By the year 2050, we will have to feed 10 billion people. Food security is a concern that in our sister agency, the Food and Agriculture Organization, is a daily preoccupation. At the same time, together with FAO, UNEP has brought to the attention of the international community the extraordinary phenomenon that somewhere between 30 to 40% of everything we produce on our farms and our land every year is never consumed. It is lost somewhere between the point of production and the point of consumption, either because of lack of storage and pests that destroy the harvest, or an extraordinary amount of wastage that happens in supermarkets, in restaurants, in our households, in our homes, particularly in middle classes that are rapidly growing across the world. Bringing these phenomena together, trying to provide the macroeconomic policy frameworks that allow consumers, but also business, industry and entrepreneurs to shift towards a more sustainable consumption and production pattern, towards a less polluting set of energy infrastructures or transport systems, all form part of the options and the arenas in which countries, based on their own priorities and also of highly challenging issues, can take a particular set of policies forward. It is our hope that with the Green Economy Academy, with the support infrastructure of the Partnership for Action on the Green Economy, and with the enormous amount of innovation that is now happening across dozens of countries and nations in the world, we are constructing not only a narrative in the hypothetical and theoretical sense of a transition towards a green economy, we are actually beginning to create a community of practice. And many of you will hopefully be champions and key actors in this community of practice, of which we in UNEP are proud partners and members to it. I hope you will have a very successful first Green Academy and also a high-level forum that will allow you to return home both with confidence, new ideas, and a network within which we can continue to work together. Thank you very much.